He leapt from the clock tower 100 meters high, but woke up safely in bed the next day. He drove off a cliff, trying to end his life. The outcome should have been certain death, but he came back to life at 6 a.m. He was trapped in an infinite loop at a specific time. No matter what happened, every morning at 6 o'clock, he would wake up in the hotel bed. The events and people encountered were exactly the same as the day before. The advantage of a time loop is being able to do whatever you want. When he needed money, he timed it right to take some from an armored truck. If he had his eye on a beautiful woman, he would thoroughly inquire about her personal information. The next day when time looped, he would find an opportunity to strike up a conversation. Leveraging his knowledge of the lady, he would quickly close the distance and achieve his ultimate goal. However, there was only one woman here who always remained out of his reach. No matter how many times he looped, no matter how well he understood this lady or how perfectly he performed, he could never enter her heart. Gradually, Phil began to grow weary of this kind of life. How could he break free from this loop? And how can you, the viewer, escape a repetitive life? Believe that this movie will give you guidance. Perhaps the first half will be a bit boring, but if you can settle your mind and watch it through, you will benefit greatly. Break out of the loop trap. Phil was a conceited weatherman, repeating dull work in front of the camera every day. He always had an arrogant demeanor, but on this day, the studio's new producer Rita, with her silly and lovable appearance, instantly captivated the lonely Phil. The next day, the group rushed to Punxsutawney to report on the local Groundhog Day festival tradition. The locals would have the groundhog predict the arrival of spring. Phil's fate also changed during this time. Rita was full of anticipation for this assignment, but Phil, who had hosted here many times, said the people here were all idiots, and for a big star like him, the hotel arranged by the production team, like a kennel, did not match his status. But he never expected Rita to actually prepare another inn for him. This made Phil feel Rita had potential.
You know, I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
Anything I can do?
Would you help me with my pelvic tilt?
Just like that, Phil checked into the delightful family inn at 6 a.m. sharp the next day. The radio turned on promptly. The morning news awakened Phil. Today was the long-awaited Groundhog Day. He just wanted to finish today's work as soon as possible and leave this godforsaken place. After getting dressed, Phil went outside. He encountered an unfamiliar man who asked him to guess what day spring would start this year. Phil just casually brushed him off and went downstairs. Faced with the enthusiastic hostess downstairs, he also impatiently turned and left. Little did he know, everything he encountered today would repeat in a loop for over 30 years. Arriving downtown, Phil encountered a homeless man. He pretended to look for his wallet. Brushing past him, at this moment, a man called out his name. Phil thought it was some fanatical fan, but unexpectedly, this guy was an old high school classmate. He was now a life insurance salesman, and Phil became his next target. Faced with this leech, he could only smile along. Finally turning to leave, he stepped into a cold puddle with one foot.